Rachel wiped down the last table in her section and glanced at the clock. 9:30. Her feet were killing her, and she still had 2 more hours before her shift ended. She'd been at Belmont's restaurant since 11 that morning, covering for another server who called in sick. Again. She didn't complain, though. She couldn't afford to. Every extra hour meant another $20 or $30 in tips, and every dollar counted when you were raising a 7-year-old daughter alone. Table 12 just sat down. Monica, the hostess, called out, "Your section." Rachel grabbed a handful of menus and headed over, putting on her professional smile. The one that hid the exhaustion. The one that made difficult customers think she was happy to be there, even when her back ached and her daughter was home with a babysitter she could barely afford. But when she reached table 12, her smile faltered just a bit. There were 6 of them, all men, all in expensive suits that probably cost more than her monthly rent. And they were loud. The kind of loud that said they'd been drinking before they even walked through the door. The kind of loud that made other diners turn their heads and frown. "Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to Belmont's. Can I start you off with something to drink?" The man at the head of the table looked up. He was maybe in his mid-40s with perfectly styled dark hair and a watch that caught the light every time he moved his wrist. His eyes swept over her name tag, then her face like he was evaluating a product. "Finally," he said, his voice carrying across the room. "We've been sitting here for at least 30 seconds. What kind of service is this?" They'd been seated for maybe 10 seconds. Rachel kept her smile in place. "I apologize for the wait, sir. What can I get for you?" "Bring us 3 bottles of your most expensive champagne. And make it quick. We're celebrating." He turned to his friends. "Just closed the biggest deal of my career. $15 million in one signature." His friends cheered, clapping him on the back. The man, his name was Brandon Whitmore, she'd later learn, seemed to glow under their attention. He was the center of everything, and he knew it. Rachel brought the champagne. Then appetizers. Then entrees. And with each trip to their table, they got louder. Other guests were starting to complain. A couple at table 8 asked to be moved. An elderly woman near the window looked genuinely uncomfortable. Rachel could see her manager, Mr. Peterson, watching from across the room. His face was tight with stress. She knew what he was thinking. Brandon Whitmore was a regular, the kind of customer who spent thousands of dollars and brought his wealthy friends. The kind of customer Mr. Peterson would never risk offending. But someone had to say something. Rachel approached the table carefully, waiting for a break in their conversation. "Excuse me, gentlemen. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we've had a few guests mention that the noise level is a bit high. Would you mind keeping it down just a little? I'd really appreciate it." She kept her tone friendly, professional, not accusatory, just a simple request. Brandon turned to look at her and something cold flickered in his eyes. "Are you serious right now?" He leaned back in his chair, studying her. "Do you know who I am?" "I'm just trying to make sure all our guests have a pleasant experience, sir." "All your guests?" He laughed, and his friends joined in. "Sweetheart, I probably spend more in one night here than you make in 6 months. I think I've earned the right to enjoy my celebration however I want." Rachel's cheeks burned, but she kept her composure. "I understand, sir. I'm just asking. What you're asking is for me to stop having fun because some other people are too uptight to handle a little noise. That's what you're asking." He picked up his glass and took a long drink. "Tell you what, how about you worry about bringing us another bottle, and let me worry about how loud I want to be." "Of course, sir." Rachel turned to leave, her hands shaking slightly. "Wait," Brandon called out. She stopped, turning back. "What's your story, anyway?" He gestured at her with his glass. "You look like you think you're too good for this job. Like you're doing us all a favor by serving us. Are you?" "I'm just trying to do my job, sir. No, seriously. I want to know." He looked at his friends. "She's got this air about her, right? Like she used to be something more important and now she's slumming it with the rest of us." Rachel's jaw tightened. She needed this job. She needed to stay calm. "I'm a waitress, sir. That's all." Monica appeared at her elbow, leaning in to whisper. "Mr. Peterson wants to talk to you, kitchen." Rachel excused herself and walked to the back, her heart pounding. She knew what was coming. Mr. Peterson was waiting by the walk-in refrigerator, his arms crossed. "Rachel, I need you to handle table 12 better. Mr. Whitmore is complaining that you're being rude to him." "I wasn't rude. I just asked them to lower their voices because I don't care." Mr. Peterson's voice was firm. He's a valued customer. Make him happy. Whatever it takes. Mr. Peterson, they're disturbing every other table in the restaurant. Then those tables can leave. But Brandon Whitmore stays and he stays happy. Do you understand me? Rachel nodded slowly. She understood perfectly. Money talked, and she was just the help. She returned to the floor, delivering another bottle of champagne to table 12. As she poured, she heard one of Brandon's friends talking. Did you know she used to go to Juilliard? The man said. He was looking at his phone, scrolling through something. Sarah told me when I asked about the staff earlier. This waitress was apparently some hotshot music student before she dropped out. Brandon's head snapped up. Juilliard, you? He looked at Rachel with new interest, but it wasn't kind. It was the look of someone who just found a new toy to play with. You studied music at Juilliard and now you're serving me champagne? That's incredible. What happened? Couldn't hack it? I left for personal reasons, sir. Personal reasons, he laughed. That's what everyone says when they fail. He stood up, swaying slightly, and looked across the restaurant. His eyes landed on the baby grand piano in the corner. Belmont's kept it there for ambiance, though it was rarely played. You know what? I want some entertainment with my meal. Since you used to be so talented, why don't you play something for us? Rachel's stomach dropped. I don't think that's... Come on. Earn your tip. Show us what a Juilliard education looks like. He raised his voice so the whole restaurant could hear. Everyone, our waitress is apparently a musical genius. Let's have her perform for us. A few people looked over, curious now. Rachel felt every eye in the restaurant on her. Sir, I'm working. I can't... Mr. Peterson. Brandon called out, waving the manager over. Your waitress here refuses to provide customer service. I'm asking for a simple song and she's saying no. Is that really how you run this place? Mr. Peterson appeared, his face pale. He looked at Rachel, then at Brandon, calculating. Rachel could see the moment he made his decision. Rachel, he said quietly, just play one song, please. Mr. Peterson, I'm in the middle of my shift. I have other tables. Monica can cover them. Just one song. Keep the customer happy. Rachel felt something crack inside her chest. She looked around the restaurant. At the other servers, watching with sympathy, they couldn't voice. At the guests who looked away, embarrassed for her but unwilling to intervene. At Brandon Whitmore, smirking like he'd already won. She needed this job. She had rent due in 5 days. Lily needed new shoes. The babysitter charged by the hour. Fine, she whispered. Brandon clapped his hands together. Excellent. This is going to be hilarious. Rachel walked to the piano, her legs feeling like they might give out. She hadn't played in public in 8 years. Not since her husband died. Not since she'd packed away her dreams and focused on survival. She sat down on the bench, her hands hovering over the keys. They were shaking. Behind her, she could hear Brandon and his friends laughing, already enjoying the show. She was their entertainment, their joke, their proof that they were better than her. Rachel closed her eyes and took a deep breath, and then she began to play. Rachel's fingers touched the keys, and for a moment, she forgot where she was. The cool ivory beneath her fingertips felt like coming home after a long journey. How long had it been? 8 years. 8 years since she'd played anything more complicated than Happy Birthday on Lily's little keyboard at home. She'd planned to play something quick. Maybe a simple classical piece that everyone knew. Get through it fast. Collect whatever insulting tip Brandon threw at her, and forget this night ever happened. But something shifted when she pressed down on that first key. Maybe it was the humiliation still burning in her chest. Maybe it was the exhaustion of working 2 shifts on 3 hours of sleep. Maybe it was the weight of 8 years of pushing down everything she used to be, everything she used to dream about. Whatever it was, Rachel found herself playing something she'd written years ago, a piece she'd composed during the worst week of her life, sitting in a hospital room watching her husband slip away a little more each day. She'd never performed it for anyone. She'd written it at 3 a.m. on a piece of hospital stationery, humming the melody while trying not to wake the nurse. After he died, she'd tucked it away in a drawer and tried to forget it existed, because remembering hurt too much. But now her hands moved across the keys like they had a memory of their own, pulling that melody back from wherever she'd buried it. The opening notes were soft, almost hesitant, like someone afraid to speak after staying silent too long. Behind her, she could hear Brandon start to say something, probably another joke at her expense. But then the melody built, gaining confidence, and he stopped mid-sentence. Rachel began to sing. Her voice came out rough at first, catching on the emotion lodged in her throat. But then it cleared and the words poured out. Words about loss, about the moment when everything you thought was permanent suddenly disappears, about standing in a grocery store aisle, forgetting why you came because the person who always remembered for you is gone. But the song wasn't just sad. It shifted, the minor key gradually opening up into something else. Something that acknowledged the pain but refused to live in it forever. It became about Lily's first day of kindergarten, when Rachel realized she had to keep going because a little girl needed her. About learning to laugh again, even when it felt like betraying the past. About discovering that survival could slowly transform into actually living. The restaurant had gone completely silent. Rachel's eyes were closed, so she didn't see the couple at table 8 stop with their forks halfway to their mouths. She didn't see the elderly woman by the window pull out a tissue. She didn't see Monica standing frozen by the host stand, tears streaming down her face because her own father had died last year, and every word of this song felt like Rachel had reached into her heart and put her grief into music. She didn't see Mr. Peterson standing in the kitchen doorway, his hand over his mouth, remembering why he'd opened a restaurant in the first place. Because his mother had been a singer who never got her chance, and he'd wanted to create a place where beautiful things could happen. And she didn't see the look on Brandon's face. The way his smirk had completely vanished. The way he'd gone very still, staring at her like he was seeing an actual person for the first time all night. Rachel just played. She poured 8 years of held-back emotion into every note. All the exhaustion, the loneliness, the fear, the moments of unexpected joy. The pride in watching Lily grow, the terror of not having enough money, the strength she'd found in herself that she never knew existed. The song built to its peak, her voice soaring over the piano, filling every corner of the restaurant with pure, raw feeling. It was the kind of singing that didn't just sound pretty. It was the kind that made you feel something real, something true, whether you wanted to or not. Then it softened again, coming back down to those gentle opening notes, but changed now. Hopeful, like someone who'd walked through fire and made it to the other side, scarred but still standing. When Rachel played the final chord, she held it, letting it fade naturally into silence. For 3 full seconds, nobody moved. Rachel opened her eyes and slowly took her hands off the keys. They were shaking again, but for a different reason now. She felt exposed, like she'd accidentally stripped naked in front of all these strangers. That song was private. It was hers. She'd just given them a piece of her soul and she couldn't take it back. Then someone started clapping. It was the elderly woman by the window. She was standing up, applauding with tears running down her face. Then someone else joined in, and another. Within seconds, the entire restaurant was on their feet. Rachel stood up, confused and overwhelmed. This wasn't what she'd expected. She'd expected polite applause at best, mockery at worst. She hadn't expected this. This wave of genuine appreciation that felt almost too big to handle. She glanced back at Brandon's table. His friends were clapping too, looking stunned. But Brandon himself was just sitting there, very quiet, his champagne glass untouched in front of him. He was staring at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. It wasn't the cruel amusement from before. It was something else, something almost like shame. "That was incredible," someone called out. Other voices joined in with agreement. Rachel nodded awkwardly, not sure what to say. She wasn't used to this. She was used to being invisible, being just the waitress, being someone people barely noticed beyond whether their water glass was full. She started to walk back toward her section, but Monica caught her arm. "Rachel, oh my God, I had no idea you could sing like that." "It's been a while," Rachel managed to say. "A while? You should be on a stage somewhere, not—" Monica stopped herself, but they both knew what she meant. Not here, not serving tables and dealing with people like Brandon. Mr. Peterson appeared, looking flustered. "Rachel, that was— I knew you studied music, but I didn't know." She waited for him to finish, but he seemed at a loss for words. He cleared his throat. "Take your break." "You've earned it." Rachel nodded and headed toward the back, her legs still unsteady. As she passed table 12, she carefully didn't look at Brandon. She didn't want to see whatever expression was on his face now. Didn't want to give him the chance to say anything that would ruin this strange, Unexpected moment, but as she pushed through the kitchen doors, she heard one of his friends say, "Dude, someone just posted a video of that on social media. This is going to blow up." Rachel froze. Video? Her heart started pounding. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands and opened her social media app. She had to search for a minute before she found it. There she was. Someone had filmed the entire performance and posted it 20 minutes ago. The video already had 10,000 views. The caption read, "Restaurant waitress stuns crowd with unbelievable voice. This is what raw talent looks like." Rachel stared at the screen, watching the view counter tick up. 12,000. 15,000. 20,000. She sank down onto a stack of milk crates in the storage area, her phone still in her hand. Her private song, the one she'd written in her darkest moment, was now being watched by thousands of strangers. She should feel violated. She should feel angry. But instead, she felt something else entirely. She felt seen. For the first time in 8 years, someone other than Lily was looking at Rachel and seeing more than just a tired waitress trying to make ends meet. They were seeing what she used to be, what maybe possibly she could be again. Her phone buzzed with a notification. Then another, and another. Comments were pouring in, messages from people she didn't know. And then something that made her breath catch. A message from someone with a verified account. Elena Rodriguez. Rachel knew that name. Everyone in the music world knew that name. She was one of the most successful producers in the industry, someone who'd launched the careers of at least a dozen major artists. The message was short. "I just saw your video. We need to talk. This is my direct number." Rachel read it 3 times, sure she was misunderstanding. Things like this didn't happen to people like her. This was the kind of story you saw in movies, not the kind of thing that happened to a 31-year-old waitress from Brooklyn who could barely afford her daughter's dental bills. Monica stuck her head into the storage area. "Rachel, are you okay? You've been back here for 10 minutes and your other tables are asking for you." Rachel looked up at her, still clutching her phone. "Monica, I think my life just changed." "What do you mean?" But Rachel couldn't explain it, not yet, because she didn't understand it herself. She just knew that something fundamental had shifted. The video was up to 50,000 views now. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing, and out in the dining room, Brandon Whitmore was still sitting at table 12, very quietly asking for his check. His celebration suddenly feeling hollow and wrong in ways he was just beginning to understand. Rachel didn't sleep that night. How could she? By the time she got home at midnight, the video had 3 million views. By 2 in the morning, it was at 7 million. By the time the sun came up, it had passed 15 million and was still climbing. Her phone hadn't stopped ringing. Reporters, radio stations. People claiming to be talent agents. A morning show producer offering to fly her to Los Angeles. Someone from a record label she'd only dreamed about when she was 19 years old. She'd turned off her phone eventually, just to get some silence. But she couldn't turn off her mind. Lily found her sitting at the kitchen table at 6 in the morning, still in her work uniform, staring at her laptop screen. The video was everywhere. Entertainment news sites, music blogs, even the local news had picked it up. "Mommy? Why are you up so early?" Rachel quickly closed the laptop. "Just couldn't sleep, baby. Want some pancakes? It's Wednesday. We have cereal on Wednesday." Lily climbed into her chair, her stuffed elephant tucked under one arm. She was 7, but sometimes she seemed older. Like she'd learned to read Rachel's moods the way other kids learned to read books. Rachel poured cereal and milk, her hand still shaking from exhaustion and adrenaline. She'd have to take Lily to school in an hour. Then she was supposed to work the lunch shift at Belmont's, like it was just a normal day, like her entire world hadn't tilted sideways 12 hours ago. Her phone buzzed on the counter. She'd turned it back on 5 minutes ago and immediately regretted it. Another unknown number. She ignored it. "Mommy, are you okay?" Rachel looked at her daughter's concerned face and felt something crack in her chest. Lily was always worried about her, always checking to make sure Rachel was okay. That wasn't fair. 7-year-olds shouldn't have to worry about their mothers. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just tired." After dropping Lily at school, Rachel sat in her car for 10 minutes trying to gather the courage to turn her phone back on. When she finally did, she had 63 missed calls and over 200 text messages. One was from Monica. "Have you seen the news? They're talking about you on Channel 7. Another from Mr. Peterson. Rachel, we need to talk before your shift. Come in early. And 3 more from Elena Rodriguez, the music producer. The last one said, I understand you're overwhelmed. But please, just give me 5 minutes. This opportunity won't wait forever. Rachel stared at that message. Opportunity. That's what everyone kept calling it. But opportunities were for people who had safety nets. People who could afford to take risks. She had rent due in 4 days and a 7-year-old who needed her to be stable, not chasing dreams that might disappear as fast as they appeared. She drove to Belmont's, her stomach churning. When she walked in through the back entrance, the kitchen staff stopped what they were doing and stared at her. There she is. Carlos, one of the line cooks, called out. Our celebrity. Stop it, Rachel muttered, heading for the time clock. No, seriously, you're famous. My mom called me this morning crying because she saw your video. She said it reminded her of my dad. Rachel didn't know what to say to that. She'd been so focused on her own panic that she hadn't really thought about how the song was affecting other people, about the comments under the video from people saying it helped them through their own grief, that it made them feel less alone. Mr. Peterson was waiting in his office. When Rachel knocked, he looked up and gestured for her to sit down. Quite a night, he said. I'm sorry if I caused any trouble. I didn't mean for— You didn't cause trouble, Rachel. You caused a sensation. He leaned back in his chair. I've had 47 calls this morning. Reporters wanting to interview you. Magazines wanting to do stories. And about 100 reservation requests from people hoping to see you perform again. Rachel's throat went tight. I don't want to perform again. I just want to do my job. That's what I told them. Mr. Peterson folded his hands on his desk. But I'm going to be honest with you. This changes things. The restaurant is going to be crazy for a while. People are going to be coming in specifically to see you, and I can't have my staff being mobbed during their shifts. Rachel felt cold. Are you firing me? No, God, no. He looked genuinely shocked. I'm trying to help you. Rachel, you have something special. Something that most people would kill for, and you're wasting it carrying plates. I'm not wasting it. I'm surviving. You could do more than survive. He pulled out a piece of paper. This came for you this morning, hand-delivered. Rachel took it. It was a letter on expensive stationery, an offer to perform at Belmont's every Friday and Saturday night. They'd pay her more for 2 nights than she currently made in 2 weeks. You don't have to decide now, Mr. Peterson said. But think about it. Rachel folded the letter and put it in her pocket. I need to start my shift. The lunch rush was worse than she'd imagined. Half the tables were filled with people who kept staring at her, whispering to each other, taking photos when they thought she wasn't looking. One woman asked for her autograph on a napkin. A man tried to record her taking his order. By 2 o'clock, Rachel was ready to scream, and then Brandon walked in. He was alone this time. No entourage. No expensive suit. Just jeans and a plain shirt. He looked like he hadn't slept either. Monica seated him at table 12. The same table from last night. Rachel felt every muscle in her body tense. She considered asking Monica to take it. But that felt like running, and she was tired of running. What can I get you? She asked when she reached his table, her voice flat. Brandon looked up at her, and she was surprised to see that he looked genuinely uncomfortable. Can we talk? Just for a minute? I'm working, I know. He rubbed his face. I saw what happened online. The comments. The news stories. And I wanted to say that I'm sorry. What I did last night was inexcusable. Rachel stared at him. You humiliated me in front of a room full of people because you thought it would be funny. I know. You treated me like I was nothing. Like I was just there for your entertainment. I know. His voice was quiet. And you were right to be angry. I was drunk and stupid and cruel, and there's no excuse for it. Is that supposed to make it better? Rachel felt 8 years of swallowed anger rising up. You're not the first person to treat me like I'm less than human because I serve food for a living. You're just the one who did it in front of a camera, and now my face is everywhere, and I can't even do my job without people gawking at me. And my daughter is going to see these videos and have questions I don't know how to answer. Brandon winced. You have a daughter? Yes, and she's the reason I can't afford to lose this job by telling you what I really think of you. You won't lose your job. I promise you that. And if there's anything I can do to make this right, there isn't. Rachel pulled out her order pad. What do you want to eat? He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, You're an incredible singer. That's not me trying to make this better or make excuses. It's just the truth. What you did last night was something most people never experience in their entire lives, because most people don't get bullied into performing when they're trying to work. You're right. He pulled out his, wallet and laid $500 bills on the table. For what it's worth, I'm genuinely sorry. And I hope you take one of those opportunities everyone's offering you, because someone with your talent shouldn't be waiting tables. He stood up and walked out without ordering anything. Rachel stared at the money on the table. $500, more than she made in a week. Probably his way of buying forgiveness. She picked it up and walked to the kitchen. Carlos looked up as she passed. Hey, was that the guy from last night? The one who made you play? Yeah, what did he want? Rachel looked at the bills in her hand. I'm not sure. That evening, after she picked up Lily from after-school care, Rachel finally called Elena Rodriguez. Her hands were shaking as she dialed. The producer answered on the second ring. Rachel, thank you for calling. I don't know why I'm calling, Rachel admitted. This is crazy. The whole thing is crazy. I know it feels that way, but I've been in this business for 20 years and I know real talent when I hear it. What you have is rare, and I want to help you share it with the world. I have a daughter. I have rent. I can't just walk away from my job and hope this works out. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking for a meeting, just a conversation. Let me show you what's possible. Rachel looked at Lily sitting on the couch doing homework with her elephant next to her. She thought about her husband, who used to tell her she was meant for something bigger. She thought about 8 years of playing it safe, of surviving instead of living. Okay, she said quietly. One meeting. The meeting was scheduled for Saturday afternoon at a cafe in Manhattan. Rachel changed her outfit 3 times before leaving, finally settling on the nicest dress she owned. It was 4 years old and a little tight around the waist, but it would have to do. She'd arranged for her neighbor, Mrs. Chen, to watch Lily. The elderly woman had refused payment, saying she was honored to help the famous singer. Rachel didn't have the heart to tell her she wasn't famous. She was just a waitress who'd had one viral moment. Elena Rodriguez was already waiting when Rachel arrived. She was younger than Rachel expected, maybe 40, with kind eyes and an easy smile. She stood up when Rachel approached. Thank you for coming. I know this whole week has been overwhelming for you. Rachel sat down, clutching her purse in her lap. I still don't understand why you want to meet with me. There are thousands of talented singers out there. There are thousands of good singers, Elena corrected. But what you did in that video, that wasn't just good technique or a pretty voice. That was truth. You made people feel something real. That's the difference between someone who can sing and someone who's an artist. Rachel felt her cheeks flush. It was just a song I wrote a long time ago. Tell me about it. And somehow, sitting across from this stranger in a Manhattan cafe, Rachel found herself talking. She told Elena about her husband, about the hospital room, about writing lyrics on scraps of paper while trying to be strong for him, about dropping out of Juilliard when she got pregnant. Not because she had to, but because suddenly everything that seemed important before felt small compared to building a family. Do you regret it? Elena asked gently. Giving up music? Rachel thought about that. I don't regret choosing him, choosing Lily, but I regret losing myself in the process. When he died, I had to figure out how to survive, and somewhere along the way I forgot I was allowed to be more than just Lily's mom or just a waitress. I forgot I was still Rachel. Elena nodded like she understood. My sister was a dancer, incredibly talented, but she was always afraid to really go for it. Afraid of failing, afraid of what people would think. She kept saying she'd do it later when the timing was right. She died in a car accident 3 years ago. She was 28. I'm so sorry. Me too. But it taught me something important. Later isn't promised. And regret is heavier than failure. Elena pulled out a folder. I want to show you something. This is what I'm proposing. Inside were contracts, schedules, budgets. Elena walked her through it all. A small recording deal to start. Nothing massive or overwhelming. They'd record a few of Rachel's original songs, starting with the one from the video. Then maybe a small tour. 10 cities, intimate venues. Nothing that required Rachel to quit her job right away or uproot her life. You'd still have your safety net, Elena explained. This doesn't have to be all or nothing. We can build slowly, see how it goes. But Rachel, I need you to understand something. The window for this kind of opportunity is small. Right now, people are paying attention. Right now, they want to hear more from you. In a month, they might move on to the next viral moment. We need to act while they're still listening. Rachel stared at the papers. It all looked so official, so real. What if I'm not good enough?
What if I fail?
Then you fail. And you'll still be exactly where you are now. Still have your job. Still have Lily. But at least you'll know you tried. Elena leaned forward. Can I tell you what I think the real question is? It's not whether you're good enough. It's whether you're brave enough to let people see you. Really see you. Because that's what scared you most about that video, wasn't it? Not that people saw you sing, but that they saw your pain, your truth, and they loved you for it. Rachel felt tears prick her eyes. I don't know if I can do that again. Put myself out there like that. That's the job, though. Being an artist means letting people in. It means being vulnerable in front of strangers. It's terrifying, but it's also the most powerful thing a person can do. They talked for another hour. Elena answered every question, addressed every concern. She gave Rachel the contract to look over, told her to have a lawyer review it if she wanted, gave her a week to decide. When Rachel left the cafe, her mind was spinning. She walked 20 blocks without really seeing where she was going, just trying to process everything. Her phone rang. Brandon's name appeared on the screen. She'd saved his number after he'd sent a text apologizing again the day after their encounter at the restaurant. She hadn't responded, hadn't known what to say, but now she answered. This is Rachel. Hi, I'm sorry for calling out of the blue. I just wanted to check in, see how you're doing with everything. Why do you care? The words came out harsher than she intended. There was a pause. Can I be honest with you? That would be new. He deserved that. Fair enough. The truth is, watching you perform that night woke something up in me. Something I'd been avoiding for a long time. My mother was a music teacher. She loved music more than anything. But she never pursued it professionally because my father convinced her it wasn't practical. She taught piano lessons in our basement and dreamed about what could have been. She died 5 years ago. And at her funeral, her students talked about how she'd changed their lives. But I kept thinking about all the people who never got to hear her play. All the music she never shared because she was too afraid. Rachel stopped walking. Why are you telling me this? Because when I made you play that night, I thought I was just having fun at someone else's expense. I didn't see you as a real person with a real life. But then you played and I saw my mother in you. I saw all the regret she carried. And I realized I'd become exactly the kind of person who makes talented people afraid to try. The kind who tears others down to feel bigger. That's a lot to figure out in 1 week. Yeah, well, going viral as the villain in someone else's story gives you time to think. He laughed, but it sounded bitter. I've lost 3 business deals this week because people don't want to work with the guy who bullied the singing waitress. My face is all over social media and not in a good way. Everyone's calling me out. And you think I should feel sorry for you? No, I think I deserved it. But I also think maybe something good can come from something terrible. I've been doing a lot of thinking about privilege and power, and how easy it is to abuse both without even realizing it. And I want to do better. Rachel started walking again. What does that have to do with me? I heard you met with Elena Rodriguez today. How did you? Word travels fast in certain circles. Are you going to take her offer? I don't know. Can I tell you what I think? Do I have a choice? You should do it. You should take the risk, not because of the video or the attention or any of that, but because the world has enough people who play it safe. We need people brave enough to share their truth even when it's scary. Especially when it's scary. Rachel stopped in front of a music store. In the window was a beautiful guitar, polished wood gleaming under the lights. I'm afraid, she admitted. Good, that means it matters. What if I mess this up? What if I take this chance and fail and I lose my stability? And then what happens to Lily? What if you don't take the chance and spend the rest of your life wondering what might have been? Which regret can you live with easier? Rachel looked at her reflection in the store window. She looked tired. She always looked tired these days, but underneath the exhaustion, she could see traces of the girl who used to believe in herself, the girl who thought she could change the world with a song. I need to go, she said quietly. Okay. But Rachel, whatever you decide, I hope you choose yourself. At least once. You deserve that. After he hung up, Rachel stood there for a long time staring at that guitar. Then she pulled out her phone and called her late husband's mother. Grandma Joyce answered on the 3rd ring. Rachel, honey, I saw your video. I must have watched it 50 times. Joyce, can I ask you something? About Daniel? Of course. Did he ever talk to you about my music? About me giving it up? There was a pause. He did, actually. About a month before he died. He told me that his biggest regret was that you'd put your dreams on hold for him. For Lily. He said he wished he'd encouraged you more to keep singing. He said, her voice cracked. He said he hoped you'd find your way back to it someday. That Lily needed to see her mother chase her dreams, not just sacrifice for everyone else. Rachel felt tears streaming down her face. He said that? He loved you so much, Rachel. And he wanted you to be happy. Not just surviving. Actually happy. That night after putting Lily to bed, Rachel sat at her kitchen table with the contract Elena had given her. She read through every page carefully. Then she picked up a pen. Before she could talk herself out of it, she signed her name at the bottom. Her hand was shaking, but this time it wasn't from fear. It was from something else entirely, something that felt almost like hope. 3 months later, Rachel stood backstage at the Riverside Theater in Brooklyn, trying to remember how to breathe. The venue wasn't huge, just 300 seats, but right now it felt like Madison Square Garden. Through the curtain, she could hear people taking their seats, the low murmur of conversation, someone laughing. 5 minutes, the stage manager called out. Rachel looked down at her hands. They were shaking. Again. She'd thought that would stop eventually, but apparently not. The past 3 months had been a blur. Recording sessions that stretched late into the night after she put Lily to bed. Voice lessons to strengthen muscles she hadn't used in years. Interviews with local newspapers and radio stations. And through it all, she'd kept working at Belmont's. Because even with Elena's advance, she couldn't quite bring herself to let go of that safety net. But 2 weeks ago, she'd finally given her notice. Mr. Peterson had hugged her, told her he was proud, and promised her a table whenever she wanted to come back for dinner. Monica had cried. Carlos had made her favorite pasta dish on her last shift. Mom, Rachel turned. Lily was standing in the doorway wearing the new dress Grandma Joyce had bought her for tonight. She looked so grown up it made Rachel's chest ache. What are you doing back here, sweetheart? You're supposed to be in your seat with Grandma. I know, but I wanted to give you something. Lily walked over and held out a folded piece of paper. Rachel opened it carefully. It was a drawing. A woman on a stage, stick figure simple but somehow perfect. Above it, in Lily's careful 7-year-old handwriting, it said, "My mom is brave." Lily. Rachel's voice cracked. Grandma Joyce told me that Daddy used to say you had magic in your voice. And I think he was right. I think you're going to make everyone feel something tonight. Something good. Rachel pulled her daughter into a hug, holding her tight. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. You just didn't notice because you were too busy working. Lily pulled back and grinned. That's what Grandma says. Anyway, Grandma talks too much. She also says you're going to be amazing tonight and that I should tell you to stop worrying so much. 2 minutes. The stage manager called. Lily gave her one more quick hug and ran back toward the theater. Rachel folded the drawing carefully and tucked it into her pocket. Then she walked to the edge of the stage and peeked through the curtain. The theater was nearly full. She could see Monica and Mr. Peterson sitting together in the 3rd row. Carlos and his wife were a few rows back. Mrs. Chen from next door was there, beaming. And right in the front, Lily sat next to Grandma Joyce, bouncing excitedly in her seat. And in the back corner, sitting alone, was Brandon. He'd texted her 2 days ago, asking if it would be okay if he came. She'd said yes, though she wasn't entirely sure why. Maybe because his apology had felt genuine, maybe because she'd learned something about forgiveness in the past few months, or maybe because she understood now that hurt people, and healing people heal people. Elena appeared at her elbow. Ready? Not even a little bit. Good. If you weren't nervous, I'd be worried. Elena squeezed her shoulder. Remember what I told you. Don't perform for them. Share with them. There's a difference. The stage manager gave the signal. The lights in the theater dimmed. Rachel heard Lily whisper loudly, "That's my mom." And several people laughed. Rachel walked onto the stage. The spotlight was bright and warm. For a moment, she couldn't see the audience at all. Just that circle of light. She sat down at the piano and adjusted the microphone. "Hi," she said, and her voice echoed through the theater. "For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rachel. 3 months ago, I was a waitress who just wanted to get through her shift. Tonight I'm here because of a song I wrote on the worst day of my life. which is strange when you think about it, how the worst moments can sometimes lead to the best ones. She took a breath. This first song is the one that started everything. I wrote it 8 years ago in a hospital room. I never thought anyone else would hear it. But now, because of you, because you listened and shared and cared, I get to do this. So thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself. She began to play. The song was different now than it had been that night at Belmont's. She'd worked on it with Elena, refining the melody, strengthening the bridge. But the heart of it was the same. The truth of it was the same. As she sang, Rachel forgot about the audience. She forgot about being nervous. She just let the music carry her, the way it used to when she was 19 and believed anything was possible. When the song ended, there was that same moment of silence, then applause, warm and genuine. Rachel looked up and saw tears on faces throughout the crowd. She saw Lily standing on her chair, clapping so hard her hands must hurt. She saw Monica wiping her eyes. And in the back she saw Brandon, his head bowed, his shoulders shaking slightly. "Thank you," Rachel said when the applause faded. "The next song is something new, something I wrote last week. It's about second chances, about being brave enough to try again, even when you're terrified. It's called Still Standing." The concert lasted an hour. Rachel performed 8 songs, a mix of her originals and covers she'd reimagined. Between songs, she talked to the audience like they were friends. She told stories about Lily, about learning to be both mother and artist, about the kindness of strangers and the unexpected ways life can change. For the final song, she stood up from the piano and walked to the center of the stage with just a microphone. "This last one is for everyone who's ever felt invisible," she said. "For everyone working 2 jobs and still not sure how they'll make rent. For everyone who's putting their dreams on hold because survival comes first. I see you. I was you. And I want you to know that your worth isn't measured by how much money you make or what job you do. You matter. Your dreams matter. And it's never ever too late to start again." She sang a cappella, just her voice filling the space. It was a song about dignity and strength and the quiet heroism of simply getting up every day and trying again. When it ended, the entire audience rose to their feet. Rachel took her bow, tears streaming down her face. This was it. This was the moment she'd been too afraid to even imagine. Not fame or fortune, but simply being seen, being heard, being allowed to be her whole self, not just the parts that were convenient or easy. After the show, there was a small reception in the lobby. People wanted to talk to her, to share their own stories of loss and hope. Rachel listened to each one, understanding now that this was part of the job too. Not just performing, but connecting, reminding people they weren't alone. Brandon approached her near the end of the night. He looked different somehow, smaller, more human. "That was incredible," he said quietly. "Thank you for letting me come. Thank you for encouraging me to do it. I didn't do anything. You did this. All of it," Rachel smiled. "We both know that's not entirely true. If you hadn't pushed me to play that night, if I hadn't been a complete jerk, you mean?" "Yeah, that too." She paused. "But maybe sometimes we need someone to push us, even if they push us for the wrong reasons. I'm not saying what you did was okay, but I'm saying I understand now that sometimes the worst things and the best things are connected in ways we can't predict." Brandon nodded. "I've been thinking a lot lately about the kind of person I want to be, the kind of legacy I want to leave. And I wanted you to know that I've started a scholarship fund for artists who need financial support to pursue their dreams. It's called the Daniel Morrison Fund. I looked up your husband's name. I hope that's okay." Rachel felt fresh tears spring to her eyes. "Brandon, you didn't have to. I wanted to. Some good should come from all this. From my mistakes." He handed her a card. "The first scholarship goes out next month. Elena's helping me find recipients." After everyone left, Rachel stood in the empty theater with Lily and Grandma Joyce. The stage was dark now, just a few work lights casting shadows. "Did you have fun tonight, baby?" Rachel asked, crouching down to Lily's level. "It was the best night ever. Everyone loved you, Mom, just like I knew they would. You know what the best part was for me? Looking out and seeing you in the front row, knowing that you got to see your mom be brave. You're always brave, Mom. Every single day." Rachel hugged her daughter tight, breathing in the smell of her strawberry shampoo. "We're going to be okay, you know that? Whatever happens next, we're going to be just fine." That night, after Lily was asleep, Rachel sat on her apartment's tiny balcony, looking out at the Brooklyn skyline. Her phone was full of messages congratulating her, but she'd turned off the sound. Right now, she just wanted quiet. She thought about everything that had led to this moment. The humiliation, the fear, the risk. The way one terrible night had somehow opened a door she'd thought was closed forever. She pulled out the drawing Lily had given her before the show. My mom is brave. Maybe she was. Or maybe she was just a woman who'd finally learned that surviving wasn't the same as living, that safety wasn't worth sacrificing your whole self, that it was okay to want more than just getting by. Tomorrow there would be more work, more challenges, more fears to face. The recording studio, the small tour Elena had planned, the constant uncertainty of this new path. But tonight, Rachel let herself simply feel proud. She'd done it. She'd stood on a stage and shared her truth, and the world hadn't ended. In fact, it